Representative Lauren Boebert has filed for divorce from her husband Jason Boebert, according to a statement from the Congresswoman. Boebert, who was first elected in 2020, said the divorce was truly about irreconcilable differences. I've always been faithful in my marriage, and I believe strongly in marriage, which makes this announcement that much more difficult, she said in her statement. Boebert also said she does not intend to discuss the matter further out of respect for her children. She shares 4 sons with Jason, who has worked his entire adult life in oil and gas fields, according to her website. Read the full statement from Boebert. I'm not going to read the whole damn thing. Boebert, a Republican, is currently in her second term as the representative for Colorado's 3rd Congressional District, which includes the western slope and most of southern Colorado, including Pueblo. She's narrowly won re-election against Democrat Adam Frisk in 2022. It was the closest district race in the country, with Boebert ultimately winning by 546 votes. Frisk has already announced a second bid to unseat her in 2024. So, under most circumstances, I make fun of these people. I mock them because I think a lot of their positions and general beliefs are really goofy. But I'm more so covering this story because I've noticed that there seems to be an increasing number of people in, not even just like, who've been in politics, but they're like are current office holders that are getting divorced or, no longer married. Like I saw this with Joni Ernst, with Kellyanne Conway, with the Georgia icon herself, Marjorie Taylor Greene. So a lot of these people are just jumping out of these marriages, and like this reminds me of the Kellyanne one so much because it's another marriage that's been around for a couple of decades, which already shows it had some level of staying power, and it seems to come, after this just out of nowhere. And I wish the article included the statement from her husband where he was talking about how it was hard for him to say anything bad about her because he's been married to her for so long, and like his statement was a lot more understandable than Boebert's, because he's not even saying like, oh, please respect the privacy of my kids, even though this really has nothing to do with them, as far as like it's not, no one's going to be criticizing them as the reason that this marriage is over. But his statement was really sympathetic. I found myself feeling kind of bad for him because it is, I'd imagine, difficult to walk away from someone that you've been with for that long. Also, just to mention this because I think it's kind of funny, TYT covered this story, and what's her name, Vigeland, she's on the Majority Report. She was like, if Boebert and Greene were not misogynist themselves, then they would show some solidarity for each other, or some kind of thing about like they should have unity simply for the fact that they've both been divorced or are going through divorces. And my thing is, sometimes people go through similar things and it makes them not like each other or not really feel any kind of closer relationship with another person who's had a similar experience. But also it's kind of crazy that like you have 2 members of the same party that clash with each other, which happens with Democrats as well, but because they're both divorced, they're supposed to like weirdly now have solidarity. I don't know, it's just this really weird thing where it's kind of like, well, since you both have had this similar experience, disregard all of your policy-based disagreements with each other. And I don't agree with that at all. I think, people should be allowed to pick and choose themselves who they express solidarity with, because like I said, marriage is not the only thing that defines a person. And sometimes, if I remember correctly, the Green thing was initiated by her cheating, but don't quote me on that. I don't pay enough attention to these people's personal lives. I'm just covering this story because I think it's interesting that I'm seeing more and more of these people in politics getting estranged and ending their relationships with each other. And it's not even like, oh, I got married to this person 2 years ago, 5 years ago. These are people who've been married for decades, and it's all crumbling around us. And I'm not even saying that to be funny. It's just a pattern that's becoming more and more apparent. So it's just interesting, at least to me anyway.